Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. Our mission is to see a world well led. And our strategy to get there? To empower leaders like you to lead every day. So let's get to work.
Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. I'm Randy Gravitt.
And I'm Mark Miller.
And we are so glad that you have joined us here as we start a new week on the podcast. We're in a summer series, season 6, I think they're telling us, that we've been answering questions from our listeners, and we've had just such a good time talking about these things the last few weeks, and I'm excited about a new week here. I hope you're going to get to play a little golf this week. You know, we do have a holiday coming up toward the end of the week. Are you aware of that?
I'm planning to play.
That's good. That's good. I hope I'll get out and get around in this week as well, which will be fun. But today we're gonna dive into a question, and this question really builds on some of the stuff we've been talking about, really, with communication. But here's the exact question: how can leaders more effectively listen to, understand, and respond to feedback from individual team members? And again, this is just cloaked in how do we communicate well together. And we know when communication is done correctly, it can just be life-giving. We say it's the oxygen of an organization. And yet, how many organizations I go into and I ask them, what's the biggest challenge around here? So many times communication tops the list. And so I can feel that in this question here. Let's talk a little bit about how leaders can do this more effectively. So
yeah,
here we go for a new week.
Yeah. I think there's a theme that has emerged.
It is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And it might not be the theme that first comes to mind, but I think, like many of the other questions, this starts with the leader's heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way that you more effectively receive, process, and respond.
Listen, yep.
And it's like, do you really want the feedback?
Yeah.
And if you do, if you are actually trying to serve the people who have been entrusted to your care, I think that's where it begins. Because take anything in your life you want to get better, improvement is preceded, I think, 100% of the time with intent. You've got to decide. And I don't think this decision is one you make with your head if it's going to give you the type of transformation that the question begs.
Yeah.
I think it starts with your heart. Do you really want the feedback? And then once you do, there are any number of strategies and tactics. I mean, maybe we'll share a few of those, but if your heart's not right, then you're probably not going to do the stuff we're suggesting
You're
anyway.
not going to listen.
You're not going to get the impact you want, right?
Yeah.
If you're listening to say, I checked a box, or you're meeting with people and you check a box versus listening with empathy and listening to understand. So I think it starts with the heart.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give them a tactic, and I'll tell a quick story first. I was, years ago, I did some leadership coaching with the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball organization. It's been a few years working with their coaches some. I'd go to camp every year and spend a little time with them. And I was so fascinated. Clint Hurdle was their manager at the time, and you know Clint, and he was just an amazing leader. First of all, had taken the Rockies to the World Series, and ended up being the National League Manager of the Year one of the years that we were there in that organization. Just learning from him as well. And one of the things he did, he had this thing he called 3 up and 3 down. And I thought this was so great. And when he first told me about it, I'm like, explain it to me. And he said, basically, every coach, and I love the baseball language at that point, 3 up and 3 down, but he said, every coach on our staff, every single week, goes to every other coach and ask them this question: what 3 things did I do this week that lifted you up, that brought energy to you, that was good? Like, what did I do this week that was good? And so there's this, you talk about your people getting along with each other and the coaches being a team to lead the team mindset. And then the second question was, what 3 things did I do that not tore you down, but like, what did I do that took life out of you?
That didn't help.
That didn't help. That weren't helpful. And he said he's being funny, but he said every single coach, I ask them that every week. What did I do right, and what did I do that was not so right? And if they don't have an answer, and I asked him, I'm like, what if they don't want to tell you what you didn't do right? And he said, I fire them. I mean, basically, he was like, you have to do this. This is not an option here. We're going to have a culture where we're going to give feedback to each other, and we're going to affirm each other, and we're going to give feedback to each other, and we're going to really all try to get better every week. And so if the listener out there needs a way to kind of think about this, that 3 up and 3 down could be a powerful way to do it. It could also be as simple as just sitting down and having a 5-minute conversation. Let me listen to 5 minutes on what was right in your world this week and 5 minutes on what was not so right. And I'm going to listen to that and get feedback from the people on my team. If I'm coming to you and saying, hey, Mark, tell me where you're feeling energy right now in your job, or where what could be better. And I hear that and I go respond to it, and I'm actually trying to make it better for you at that point. That's the part of the question I love, the responding to feedback. You know, if our team shares stuff with us and we never do anything with it, they're going to stop sharing, first of all. But that's not good on us as leaders. And so
Right.
I love the 3 up and 3 down mindset. I thought that was really just an effective way it just built it into their framework.
Sure.
Every week is a process that they had set aside, and they had a really healthy, vibrant staff together that, you know, we're achieving some great things on the field as well. But it started in that clubhouse, that mindset.
All right. So for those that don't like the 3 up and 3 down, don't miss, I think, a principle there. And there was some intentionality.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
what's it look like for you? You mentioned it's a 5-minute conversation. Well, is it a 5-minute conversation with every member of your team over the course of a week? I don't know how many people are on your team. Or I knew a leader who said he talked to every person on his staff. It was a relatively small staff every day before he went to his office. When he arrived back when we went to offices, and he said it was part of my discipline, and it might take an hour, but that morning time was dedicated to checking in and listening to the staff. So again, I'm not saying that's your answer, but I love the intentionality. I love the intentionality of 3 up and 3 down.
I'll throw one more in there. I had a leader that I know, a respected businessman, really great leader, and he had about an hour and a half commute in the afternoon. Traffic was really bad. And he would spend an hour of that time every single day talking to his direct reports. He had 3 or 4 people. He'd call them, and he'd check in 10, 15 minutes every day. And that team was so galvanized. It was amazing. But it was the intentionality of time on task of, like, I'm going to listen to my people. It goes back to what you say all the time, the people closest to the problems, a lot of times closest to the solutions. If I'm talking to them and listening to what they say, I'm going to make better decisions, or I'm going to empower them to make better decisions. And we're going to be much more aligned if we have that kind of communication going, versus we just wing it and hope they know what I'm thinking. That's not going to work.
Yeah. And I think we can deceive ourselves and say, well, these ideas aren't appropriate in my role. Well, sure, they may not be. You know, what is your role? How can you be intentional? I'll give you one a little bit out of the box. Just recently, I was actually at the driving range. And I saw the head pro of the club walk to the end of the driving range, and he was talking to people and talking to people and talking to people and talking to people.
Yeah.
He spent about an hour and a half, stopped and talked for me for 10 minutes. Like a golf pro who's just checking on the people.
On golfers.
Just checking on the golfers. He wasn't selling anything.
Yeah.
He was, how you doing?
It's almost the management by walking around.
Management by walking
exactly
around.
Right. The old Blanchard.
But I heard him say to somebody, oh, well, my next appointment's not for an hour and a half, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
It's like he was actually, now, whether he planned it or it was opportunistic, I don't know. But he said, I'm going to go talk to the people who are actually our customers.
Well, this goes back to something you talked about a couple of days ago, the idea of having some margin in your schedule where you can put your ear to the ground
To
and
customers.
Talk to people.
Talk to
Talk
customers.
to team members. Talk to the customers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll learn a lot if you do. But if you're just busy all the time, it's the old, you confuse activity with accomplishment, and then you're really not moving the ball down the field because you don't really know what's going on. So.
Yeah. So let me share a couple more quick ideas. We've talked about some of these almost daily or ongoing or once a week on 3 up, 3 down. You can also do more systemic things. Are you doing an engagement survey or an organizational health survey? We're working with an organization right now, and I just reviewed the last 3 years of data.
Yeah.
and they're committed to annually getting feedback from people at all levels about 25 different topics.
Yeah.
Well, again, that's fantastic. Intentional, proactive, it's coming. But now what's even more powerful is they're talking to us about how can we help them move the numbers.
Yeah.
They've been working on moving the numbers and they've been diligent, but we want some help.
It's gonna
We're
be
bringing
fun.
in outside help because it's not just about listening, it's about responding.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen to their credibility when we come alongside them and help them improve those numbers?
I can't wait. It's going to be.
But it's going to be great for them. That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly right.
It's because people are going to go, you actually heard us and you did something.
Yeah, that's so good. All right, we're going to leave you with that idea here today of listening and responding. I think that to me is the point.
And it starts with your heart.
It starts with your heart. I mean, it really does. If you really are teachable and you want to know what your people are thinking, ask them. They'll tell you. You can create that kind of environment. And if you'll do something with what they say to get better, it's going to be better. And so that really would be our challenge for you today. Be a great communicator if you're a leader. Work hard on this. It's something you'll be able to work on your entire career, but it will matter to the people who are following you. All right, join us tomorrow. We got a few more questions here. We're going to finish out the week, our summer series here, and then we'll shift. But we got just a few more episodes here. You're asking great questions. We can't wait to continue this conversation. Join us tomorrow for the Lead Every Day show. Remember, the best leaders lead every day.